Hey folks, Quill18 here. It is December 25th, so Merry Christmas to everyone who celebrates it, and we are looking at another Steam sale, which we will go into right away. And really, Valve has brought Christmas to the masses because today is a great day for the sales, so let's get started. First thing, artwork. Okay, moving on. Second thing, X3. X3 is a space simulation game where you're sitting in the cockpit of a ship and you have the entire freaking universe to wander around in. You can jump from system to system. You can play a totally passive sort of trading, like merchant type game where you're looking at systems. You're like, okay, this place has got a mine, so I'm going to go and buy ore here. I'm going to ship it to this other system that has a factory, produce goods, bring these goods over here and make tons of money. And then I'm going to upgrade my ship to be like a huge ship with lots of cargo space. And I'm going to hire a bunch of escorts and build a whole fleet of ships and just take over the universe. Or you can play it as sort of like a war dogfighting thing with like a cool fighter thing, or maybe you're going to get a big battleship with tons of guns. These games, there's actually a set of 3 here. X3, 3 being like version 3 sort of, but they've got a bunch of like little expansion packs and things that add more and more content. Lots of unique missions, lots of factions, lots of side. Very wide open game and always comes highly, highly regarded. It's one of the games that I've owned for a long time and I've always felt terrible that I haven't been able to dedicate more time to. It's a game that would work very well as an LP, and one day, but very, very highly recommended if you like space sim type stuff, for sure. Batman Arkham Asylum, everyone probably knows what this is. Obviously, it is a great arcadey stealth fighter puzzle game. I don't know how you describe it. With a great story, awesome voice acting, great visuals, really, really fun game. Of course, there is a sequel to it that has come out now called Batman Arkham City, which is a little bit more open-ended. Arkham Asylum does have some amount of free-roaming, sort of, but it's a little bit more linear, and not in a bad way. The linearity of it tells a pretty good story. There's these really trippy sort of side levels where you're literally tripping out because of Scarecrow. And anyway, great game, $5. You will not be disappointed by this game. It is super good. Very, very highly regarded. It is a console to PC port, and it's possible that it works better with a controller as opposed to keyboard and mouse. I don't know. I originally played this by renting it on the PlayStation 3, so I don't know what the controls are like on PC. A couple of people have asked what's involved in doing this. Seriously, the easiest thing to do is you go to the store, you buy an Xbox 360 controller, you look at the end of it, it's a USB plug-in, you just plug it into your computer, you're done. If you want more control over it, you can just Google, like, Microsoft has, like, drivers and more control panel entry, basically, for the 360 controller, which lets you map the buttons and have more control over it. But it's super dead easy to use, and for some games it works really well, so consider that. $5, I mean, you can't go wrong. Batman Arkham Asylum. Football Manager. Football, in this case, of course, is in the international version of football, which is to say soccer, for North American people. Or I should say United States and Canada, since Mexico, I'm pretty sure, refers to it as football. And Football Manager is you manage the team. You set up the strategies. You trade players back and forth. You're not really playing the game so much. And this game is actually very, very popular. You can see even discounted, it's still fairly pricey because this is the new version with all the newest players and whatever. And licensing these things are always kind of expensive. They always come up with new versions every year. But this is, if you like the management aspect, it does have multiplayer. If you like the management aspect of sports, it's really good. And the thing is, if I were somewhat more into sports, especially football specifically, I would be all over this game. One of my favorite hockey games that I used to play a long time ago on like the Amiga or something like that, my favorite part of it was the sort of management mode where you could trade players and go into spring training and doing all that kind of thing. So anyway, there you have it. This is IL-2 Stormovic. Anyway, this is a very highly regarded flight combat sim, which I actually talked about it in a previous video. And it's got multiple iterations at this point. Different years, different battles, different sets of planes, all very, very high quality. Now, the one thing is, in some versions of it, they've got this dynamic campaign. I don't know if all of them do or what. And anyway, it's a feature that I really like. See, enormous environments, incredible damage modeling, 25 different aircrafts to follow to fly in skirmishes, and the campaign, waging a massive air campaign for the absolute supremacy of the sky, the battle to save Britain, which this is a really good part of it. A big part of World War II for Britain was the fact that they were continuously being air raided, basically, by Germany, and having to fight that off, because if Germany had been able to sort of blast away all of Britain's defenses and have control over the air, then they could have just killed the ships. They could have gone across the channel. They could have taken over England. And that would have changed the outcome of the war ever so slightly. Anyway, again, this whole series, the IL-2 Stormovik series, is incredibly highly regarded, and they have a lot of these different versions, which, as far as I know, they're all in the same engine. They're, you know, sort of like expansions of one another, but there may be different features. And really good. If you like flight sims, 100%. What does this one say? This one's... Oh, this is a collection. 5 games in one. What? Hold on. This might be the one to get. 1946... adds a bunch of... Is this an expansion or is this a standalone? New campaigns, 200 missions. And a lot of these have like randomly generated components, I believe. Huge, like enormous. It just says it's allowing me to add it to the cart. Before you buy these, I suppose double check to make sure they're not just expansions or whatever of one another. But... yeah, anyway, I highly recommend it. Overlord 1 and 2, fun game. These are the games where you are playing like Sauron from Lord of the Rings. You're playing this guy with the... I'm pointing... Actually, I guess I could point... You're playing... that's hard. This guy right here in the cool-ass helmet directing all the goblins. You are the evil Overlord. You are... sending your troops to rip open villages and tear down doors and kill people and mind control them and make them into your new slaves and just be generally all kinds of evil. Beat up and club baby seals, for example. It is very slapsticky, very funny game, and it plays... it's a little bit like an adventure game or an RTS in a way, but really it plays mostly like a puzzle game, that sort of thing, because yeah, it's hard to describe, but these games are super fun. I'm betting they're really cheap too. Look at this, $249 or $124 for the first game, $249 for the expansion, and $249 for just Overlord 2. All of which are very, very fun, and again, really recommend it. Now, these are, again, kind of semi-console ports. Some people like to play them more with the joystick. I had a fine time with keyboard and mouse, but your mileage may vary. Really cheap, really fun. Really, yeah, awesome. Dungeons. Dungeons is a game that theoretically appears to be a remake of Dungeon Keeper, which was really good. It inverses things in that instead of the hero coming into the dungeon and trying to defeat the evil, you are the person who builds the dungeon up and fills it with monsters in different rooms. And that's what Dungeon Keeper was. And it was amazing. This should have been a redone Dungeon Keeper. It was not. You can see 65 Metascore, not very highly regarded. There is a follow-up, a sequel to it. Slightly better score. I think... it's a sequel, and I don't think it's an expansion pack. I'm pretty sure it's a standalone sequel. So it improves things a little bit better, but again, sort of falls flat. I can't recommend it, and part of it is it might be a half-decent game, but because of what it should have been, I'm disappointed. So yeah, that's the way it is. Fallout 3, amazing game, no doubt about it. Really cheap. If you haven't played it yet, really recommend it. Fallout 3, of course, is a first-person RPG, very wide-open game, huge open world, and you can just, it's got dozens and dozens of hours of gameplay. You know, you could probably rush it and finish it in 50 hours, or you could probably play for 150 hours. It really is wide open, and of course, because it's a, you create your character, you've got all these different skills, you could play through the game 3 or 4 different times with completely different skill builds, and make some fairly different decisions at different points. Now, this is the Game of the Year edition, which includes all of the add-on packs, which is very nice because the add-ons add a lot, including a much larger, much higher level cap, a lot more content even after you finish the normal main story. Really fantastic ultimate video game. This is actually 91 Metascore. If you don't have Fallout 3, you need to get it. Wow, today is such a good day for these sales. Killing Floor is actually a half-decent first-person shooter with a lot of multiplayer emphasis. I'm not sure if it has it does have a single-player mode, but I think a lot of the emphasis is on multiplayer, and I think to a certain extent it has kind of a Left 4 Dead vibe to it. I think co-op multiplayer and lots of that. Yeah, you can see even here, it's got kind of a Left 4 Dead vibe to it. And co-op survival horror FPS. It's not as good as Left 4 Dead, which is a problem trying to sell this game on Steam. But if you've played Left 4 Dead a bunch and you've played all those levels and you'd like something different but similar, here you go. There's your go-to, Killing Floor. And Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. This is the new one. This is the new Modern Warfare. And to be able to find this for 25% off right now is pretty stupendous, actually. Oh, no Metascore listed here. But, I mean, the series is well regarded, and it is a continuation of something that we know is good. That being said, there is one giant caveat here in that there is technically a single-player campaign, but these games are not regarded for their single-player at all. You only buy this if you want to play the multiplayer part of it and, pwn noobs online. Or be ready to be pwned if you're new. The value of this game is in the multiplayer. The single-player campaign in most of these games is generally considered to be fairly weak. And that doesn't change here. So if you're looking for single-player content, this is not the way to go. That's the only caveat, unfortunately. So moving on. Alice Madness Returns. These Alice games are very creepy and fun, and I haven't played them, and I don't think it's a decent score. I don't know if they have huge application to the masses, but if you want something that's very different and very weird and a little disturbing around the edges, these Alice games are actually pretty good for that. And Nuclear Dawn. So Nuclear Dawn is a hybrid of an RTS and an FPS, a real-time strategy game and a first-person shooter game. It does have multiplayer. It does have single player. You can see here in the little video, it's a first-person mode, and then you enter the command console, and all of a sudden it'll hop into an RTS mode, and bit of a tower defense vibe to me, because there seems to be a lot of static defenses. It's a lot about taking over your control points, and as the commander mode, I think you can help coordinate your troops as well and direct them places, even the other players, and sort of say, okay, everyone bunch up here. Maybe you've got a satellite view. Maybe you can see enemies that they can't see, so you can help direct things. I don't know. But a lot of people have actually recommended this game to me. So again, you may want to get a 4-pack and play with friends, but I think it's got a decent single-player mode. So for $5, maybe you can entertain yourself for a day or two with this game. And finally, we have Atom Zombie Smasher, which definitely ranks as one of the greatest names for a game in all time. It is an indie strategy game. There is multiplayer. There is co-op. Is local co-op, not online co-op. I think it may be a port from like an Xbox Live Arcade game or something like that. But you've got a city, it's full of zombies, there may also be civilians to save, and you've got to deploy your forces to beat the crap out of zombies, at least long enough to save your civilians. You can nuke the city, you can hire mercenaries, you can do all these fun things. If you want a cheap indie, like cheap as in inexpensive, fun zombie defense game, this is the one you want to look at, and I mean, you can't beat that name, Atom Zombie Smashers. So awesome. And so, if you're going to ask me what my pick of the day is, it's actually really hard to say. The pick of the day is multiple items, and if you have a limited budget or limited time, which is actually more the risk here, you're going to have to pick and choose. X3, really good if you like space sims, no doubt about it. Batman, Arkham Asylum, really good if you like fighter, puzzle, stealth, walking around cool story games. I don't know how to say it. Football Manager, again, if you really are into sports and like the management aspects of sports, this is the thing to get. There's just no other option, and it's done really well. It's continuously updated. Huge online communities for it. IL-2, amazing flight combat. Overlord, I'm not going to say it's a great game, but it's cheap enough and it's fun enough. Just Dungeons, no. I guess it'd be easier to say than no's, because Fallout, yes. Killing Floor, half and half. Okay, I keep going to say Mech Warrior 3 for some reason. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, very good game, but not cheap. It's not an automatic buy. And it really, you have to like the multiplayer shooter thing. Alice, Nuclear Dawn, Atom Zombie Smashers. It's really inexpensive, so that makes it a pretty high pick. There you have it. We can take a look real quick at what the achievements are, but I haven't actually looked at this yet. Oh, have 10 items on your wish list. That's an easy one. I have 34. So there is a achievement for Nuclear Dawn, for X3. Force a pilot to eject from a ship. That's probably not that hard to do, although you have to do it in Albion Prelude. Yeah, because people can eject from their ships before it dies, and then you can, kill the eject pod if you want. Killing floor, killer stuff. Demolitions Inc. Oh, that's interesting because it's not on sale explicitly today, but I'm betting that is on sale in general. Yep, $249, so it looks like it's 75% off during the entire sale. This is a fun game we're talking about here. Really cheap, again, indie game. You are an alien, and your job is to destroy the Earth. But interestingly enough, I don't think it's for quite as evil reasons as you would normally think, because I'm pretty sure after you destroy the buildings and all these things, you replant like trees and stuff like that. You're reclaiming the Earth. You're like, humans have done a terrible job. It is a physics-based game. You can see here you're putting down some like glue or oil and grease spots on the ground to cause cars to crash into buildings, to knock over buildings, but you can also put down explosive barrels or explosive cars. There's a car flipping into an explosive cow, which is going to start a chain reaction, which is then going to blow up buildings. Yeah. And a wrecking ball. Sure, why not? Very fun, very silly game, very cheap. Definitely actually recommend picking this one up, especially since there is an achievement. So there you go, another recommendation for today. Anyway, that is it, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you tomorrow.